sips his morning beverage. I sip my morning beverage.
Dude, I haven't not got onto the energy drink life like that.
I
Like,
can't drink coffee. I hate coffee. So
what?
yeah,
What?
I'm not an adult. I'll never be an adult because no coffee.
And I drink
Ah.
black coffee because that's just a reminder that you're not going to enjoy life ever. So why start now?
You're like, good morning, everyone. Here's some
Here,
coffee
here's some dirty water to remind you that life is bleak.
and bitter
And
and
the,
terrible.
and the only thing that makes it good is the stuff you add to it artificially. Enjoy.
And a semi bi-weekly podcast about comics from two of your favorite people. Hi-oh.
Apparently clergy with issues that are unresolved.
Write that down. We just got another podcast.
Clerically unchecked.
Oh. See, aren't you all glad you get the pre-show every morning? Yeah. All right. We should do the
so crisp.
So clean. Welcome to the journey, folks.
Because it's the final countdown. Oh wait, that's not journey.
It's the yeah, no. All right. Mm-hmm. I guess we should be serious and do the thing now.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Greetings, true believers, and welcome to episode 85 of the Pull List Podcast, a bi-weekly show about comics, pop culture, and faith. My name is Chris Poirier, and with me, as always, posting a picture before we begin the podcast, because if you don't post a picture, it didn't happen. Hector.
I've got a lot of calories that are in a good place then, because I don't post all those.
Oh, well, good job.
Good job. Yeah.
So you've been on the road already this con season. I feel like that bears mentioning as we begin.
Yeah.
So the preview to the preview of the show. This is anime, except done poorly because we did the preview during the show you're actually watching.
Some
anime nerd's gonna get that. How's the con circuit looking like right now?
It's looking a little more healthy. There's, as you know, there's still shows that we used to be part of and stuff that haven't come back yet.
Yeah.
And then in a lot of ways the market is oversaturated.
That's actually looking at the schedule and thinking about it. Like, there's usually not a ton of shows over in Alabama, and I feel like there's been like a bunch.
There's a ton more shows, and the shows you want to get into are way harder to get into. I was taking it pretty personally that some shows that I was invested in weren't letting me in. Like, it was that. I was like, I couldn't get into shows. Like, I got rejected for more shows in the first quarter of 2023 than all 9 years prior.
That's why you drink your coffee black. I get it now.
Just reminding my soul it's dark. But no, and some of those came around. But there's a lot of artists that I'm seeing that are just trying to get back into good shows and can't.
Aw.
Because, artist space is limited and stuff like that, which is why for legacy shows like Galaxy Con and stuff like that, you don't ever skip a show. Because the minute you take your foot out of the door, it's over.
You got to start over, right? Because they're going to hit you back on the list, right? Because, hey, congratulations, people that gave us money last year.
Well, and because like literally at the end of Galaxy Con, so I don't know, everybody's shows don't always go well, obviously.
Sure.
But like, so what they do, what I've seen for a few years now, is they'll wait until the last day of the show, and they'll say at noon today, we're sending you an email.
Yep.
If you sign up and fill out the application while you're still on the show floor of the show you're at, to be at this show next year, and if you pay today, you get a discount. So you're in. You've literally got to make a life choice a year away with no foreseeable planning, and it's a no refund situation.
Jeez.
So at the last Galaxy show that was happening, I had to drop $350. And I was like, I don't even know how I did this weekend. So, That's the thing. But cons are going well. I've honestly done better at the smaller shows than the bigger ones. Just because there's less capital involved. But like this show this weekend is going to be interesting. It's a JDF tribute weekend.
Oh, right.
It's
Right.
that
Yep.
one. And
Mhm.
like Jenna Frank, his daughter is performing. And and then that Power Rangers movie just dropped on
Yep.
Netflix. So it's a big rangery adventure.
Ah, well, that sounded like a thing.
Yes.
Um, and I guess that ultimately reminds us of comics is a ever-changing landscape that is exciting, interesting, and other adjectives. And that's why we always start the show by saying that you got to strap yourselves in and prepare yourselves because we've got comic sign.
Neon glow.
Better put the word out. Get ready for the nerd out. Better put specs on. Better break necks on. I cut handsome checks for my expansion sets. They call me Obi-Wan. Act like you know me, son.
By the way, did you freaking see that Jim Lee is coming to South Carolina Comic-Con?
What?
Yeah, bro.
Dang.
Jim freaking Lee. I've never seen that dude to be anything that like wasn't New York or California.
Maybe he's listened to some of his friends that are like, you should come to these really dope regional shows and meet some peoples.
Well, it's their whateverth anniversary. It's a big one, so
Okay, that probably counts. But on top of that, you can just you can peruse Jim Lee's commission list and then feel better about. I'm just gonna see him from afar.
yes, you are. Because he ain't drawing you crap.
You might get you might get a pinky nail of the side of your head for $500.
More likely he'd do like a Ash Wednesday vibe of like here.
This is just the outline.
Here's an outline with my thumb, and that's it. Jim Lee finger paints for $400.
I kind of need that in my life.
Yes.
But anyway, we do have a wonderful show for you today. We're going to hit the latest news that you need to know, or some things that I selected that Hector feels you don't need to know, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh.
Our must pull recommendations from the past couple weeks. I think mine are mostly within the last 2 weeks, though there's one book I think I'm pulling forward because I found a copy of it.
I'm in the same place. I grabbed one I thought was new, and it was the second printing.
Oh,
So
well, there you go. What's new to us is now new to you. Aw.
2 weeks
Um,
later.
2 weeks later. Our favorite new number ones. Mine's just weird, but I'm thinking about officially changing that segment to Chris found a weird book that you should read that he probably won't read the second issue of, but maybe.
Yeah.
And so much more. This is the Pull List Podcast. So, Hector, because of reasons, I suppose we need to talk about the thing off the top because, yeah, I get it. The part of the news cycle is clickbait, right? You know,
Yes.
we have to admit what the internet is, and I did. That one was my bleeding cool pull, right? Yep.
Well, shame
So,
on you. Shame on you, sir.
hey, what is it?
What's next? We got this covered.
That's what I was waiting. I was trying to remember. We got this covered, and there's one other website that you're like, wait, hold on. And
If
for
it came
those
from them, it's garbage.
right, um, we got this covered. I'll spend 30 seconds here because it's worth mentioning that if you don't know, if you literally ever see that in the first part of a news story, quote unquote, in pop culture, just forget it. It 99.99% of the time, possibly more nines after that decimal, it is literally not true. In fact, you can usually read those stories and go, the opposite of this is probably the accurate representation of what's going on here. And I do believe there's the Captain America on the backwards chair meme of, so you've shared a we've got this covered story.
Yes.
um, yeah. Well, there you go. But I saw it. I figured you were probably going to be reading it anyway.
Yes.
So some folks out there may or may not have heard this rumor of Nightwing getting superpowers. Kind of, sort of, not really. But those stories are out there. And the reason I threw it in here is because we've got the whole Dawn of DC thing going on. So DC technically is in their kind of revamp of continuity, or at least revamp of explaining how continuity is going to work for the next 6 to 24 months, depending on how successful it is.
I don't know, dude. Like 52 lasted years.
Rebirth, technically, at this point, 6.
Yeah, man. Like these have tracked a
Lately,
good amount of time.
but once upon a time, there was the era where it was like, well, we tried that. Next.
At least they're lasting 52 months, not 52 years or weeks.
Yes. No. Valid. So, but Dawn of DC has lots of multiverse type stuff going on, which means at any given time you also don't know which particular universe, planet, etc. version of a superhero you're actually looking at until they blatantly beat you in the face and tell you. Which some of the super books have been like, hi, it's like we fooled you, just kidding, you clearly didn't think that was real, and then beat you in the head and said we're all the way over here when you thought you were all the way over here, and I think I just put my hands outside of where Matt crops my face, which will make that illustration less interesting for those of you that watched it. Those of you that listen to it, you still have no idea, but they're not close. So yeah, unpack this for our listeners a little bit, because I apparently click on the thing that makes me go, oh, and then I get punished for not reading things. So Hector, enlighten us here on what you think and what it kind of felt like is unfolding, because it's Mephisto, right?
It's yes,
all right,
dude,
yeah, it's the most ultimate multiverse crossover ever.
It is upper class bougie white Mephisto. Which, if like, because like everybody knows who Mephisto is in the DC world, or moderately, but like literally no one in DC is like, Neron, he's a person. Like because he's not even the first devil I go to if you're doing a devil thing in the DC universe. Like, not even in the top of the list. In fact, I thought he was pariah for a hot minute. But Neron, who's one of the demon devil people, who literally looks like the character Pariah or Jesus in an 80s Christian music video, is he sold. Okay, hold on. Backtrack. Make this more coherent. Nightwing has a villain called Blockbuster.
Right.
Blockbuster had an illegitimate child with a aforementioned villain, which, by the way, what almost made Nightwing go on my pull this week was the fact it reintroduced a character that has been gone for like a decade plus, which was nice. Blockbuster had a child with Jezebel Jet, who, if you've been reading comics for a minute, was Batman's girlfriend during the Batman Rest in Peace arc back in like 2009.
Okay.
And we haven't heard from her in a hot minute. And so yeah, Blockbuster had a kid with Jezebel Jet, and to give himself power without his own consequence, he sold that child's soul to the devil preemptively. So
he sold the rights to somebody's soul, is what you're saying.
Like before this kid was off formula, Blockbuster sold this little girl's soul to the devil.
That's not evil. No, that's very evil.
Okay. And so when Blockbuster died, which was a hot minute ago, like maybe 8 issues ago, when Blockbuster died,
say spoilers, but keep up.
Yeah. When Blockbuster died, the devil said, "All right, time to collect." And so it has fallen on Nightwing and the newly almost formed Titans to keep this little girl's soul intact. It also involved Batmite for a second, which was a whole other thing.
Yes.
And so this issue literally had the Titans doing a heist movie into hell.
Okay.
To deal with this little girl's soul contract. And at the end of the issue, because it like you said, it is literal clickbait, because I promise you, based on my girth and my
Deep,
girth of knowledge, um,
yes, deep girth knowledge.
my girth and my girth of knowledge, like just my whole circumference of being, this won't last more than an issue. But um, at the end of the issue, they literally pull a Jesus in the desert situation. They're even quoting Satan with Jesus in the desert of like, hey, what if I gave you all the power you could ever want? And he goes bazinga and gives Nightwing superpowers and a new accompanying costume.
Well, duh. New first appearance, devil clone, Nightwing costume.
Yeah. And
Hold
so
on. Let me eBay that. Oh, nope. Still not. Still worth cover price. How about that?
yeah. And so that's just where it is. And it's like, it was that one thing was probably the least interesting thing in that issue.
Yeah, that breaks par for the course at times.
So that's like, so when I saw, because Chris sent his notes in this morning of what we were going to talk about, and I was like, bro, don't talk about that. That's a waste of time. But here we are 5 minutes later, and God bless you and your family.
You're welcome. You got to give the people the knowledge, because we're out here dispelling misinformation in the comic book industry. And you probably named our episode again, but we'll come back to that.
Yay! Is it the clerical unresolved issues one?
No, upper class bougie Mephisto all the way.
There we go.
So yeah, let's get into some other stuff. I've got a thing that may actually be Mephisto to talk about, but we'll get to that.
Sure, kid.
Yeah, here we go. It's Mephisto, probably. Stickers available at...
I think that's still available. I may have taken it off.
Oh, never mind. Don't go to the website. So interesting. We talk about distribution of comic, digital distribution of comics, and all that stuff. Marvel, I think it was a year-ish ago, relaunched some of their platforms, but it technically was a partnership with Comixology, which is an Amazon joint. So it's the Amazons and everything, but they don't talk about it in the article. But two things. A, Marvel's like, cool, that was a thing. We're shutting down. And they're shutting down without an answer to their problem, which means Marvel, at least in their Comixology based platform, is about to go into, you can't buy the digitals here, period. So that's a thing. But the thing they don't talk about is kind of the why.
Okay.
Marvel Unlimited still exists. This is their other little companion app, which I forget what.
Surprise.
They even, yeah. So A, that. But B, the other thing is, and I think we talked about it off air like a month ago, but because apparently a bunch of people's kids bought thousands of dollars worth of music videos and other random digital content, it is basically impossible to buy digital content on an Amazon based app on a mobile device of any type.
You can't buy songs.
You can't buy anything. It
nothing.
Literally forces you back to a physical computer to purchase digital content for the thing you're carrying with you. So I guess thank everybody else's kids.
I have a letter of the alphabet for those kids.
Yeah, hi-oh. Yeah, because that, not gonna lie, it's like, oh, that's a really dope song. I'm gonna add that to my okay or not.
Well, for me, that's more than likely. I'm less likely to buy. I'm a music nerd. I'm a DJ. I like to own my stuff musically. So I buy that on a device that I can easily transfer over and download and transfer over to my DJ computer.
That's right.
Because I've got one massive log of audio on a standalone device for DJing. So all my music goes there. But I also buy it on Amazon so that I can access it occasionally, because now they're also being tools. Oh, but hold on. I'm a moderately rant.
Here we go.
Here we go. Here we go. We're going to come back to the digital purchase thing, but let me just sidetrack with this. I am shaking my fist at Amazon because they're not content making the money they're making through music purchases. They want to become Spotify.
Oh no.
So I have been purchasing music digitally since 2003.
Nerd for your
Uh,
Zune, right?
for my Zune, which I still use a Zune. It's not that same one, but I
Right.
I have
If
been
you've been with us for a while, you've heard this story once or twice.
but I have been purchasing music from Amazon for 2003 since 2003. They are going back and unlibrarying the music you've purchased, saying you don't have the rights to it anymore.
Great.
So that you paid $8 or $10 a month for their streaming service, so that you can access the music you've already bought.
Great.
So every time
Wonderful.
every time I hit a song I can't hit play on, and it makes me shuffle, I get on the phone with customer service and I talk to them until they fix my problem. And they said, well, and literally the answer from 4 different customer reps has been, "Hey, why don't you just pay for the streaming service?" And I'm
Because
like,
I bought it already.
and I give them the order number, the receipt, and say, "Over my cold dead ears." uh, but so, like, for me, like, I try to buy stuff digitally, not musically. But if I'm on the go and I see a comic book that I don't have and I've got a long wait, I'm like, you know what would be dope? I'll buy this comic book right now
Click nope.
on Kindle, and I can read it right here on my phone.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. I can't do that anymore, and that's super lame. Now
Stupid.
you can try the workaround, which is to go to the website instead of the app from your phone and click the desktop version. But that is still a super pain in all of your orifices, and it's not worth it. So
Yeah. So stuff's happening over at the Amazons. And Marvel wants you to buy unlimited so you can rebuy the comics you've read it. Wait, what? Um,
there you
it
go.
it's probably not that, but it also possibly is that. So, yep, have fun. So what else we got? Because we had the good talks today. Um, all right, so Mephisto probably. Jason Aaron's run on Avengers, which has been a few years now, is I think it's years. It's been a while. He's been doing his thing, but it's wrapping up. You may have seen a new #1 with the Avengers branding on it this week. That's called Omega, and that's
Mm,
basically the Avengers Assemble. Omega is kind of the event that's going to wrap up Aaron's run. I tried to like this series a few times. I just couldn't. I understand that there are people that this is their jam, and I salute you. But
because we're still getting more, because we're talking too negatively about Marvel. So
yeah, and but fine. Flip side of this being, I read the synopsis of Omega, and they're basically like, and Mephisto, and I'm like, great, I'm out. Like, literally in the first sentence, they're like, so Mephisto comes back, and I'm like, no. So that's where I'm at. But if you've been enjoying the run, this is the culmination point of all that and everything. So to be completely fair,
to be
to
fair,
be fair, um, yeah, it's ending. It's Mephisto. Not probably, supposedly, actually. So there's all that. But the last part I did want to get to on digital comics and everything is also there's a bunch of folks that got thrown out slash ran out at Comixology. Huh. It's like we just talked about something that might have had something to do with that. Um, and they decided to create another digital distribution platform for the comicses. And it's aptly named, and I'm going to spell it so that you all can actually find it. DSTLRY.co.
oh, is that what you sent me? Okay.
Yes. Um, it feels kind of Substack, but
That's what I thought. Okay.
designed specifically for comics and creators. And if you go to that link, they actually explain the entire company philosophy, which has a very image feel in that creators that buy in own not only their work, but a part of the company, quote unquote, is how I've read it and how I understand it. They are going to do digital distribution. You can subscribe to specific authors, creators, artists, etc., to get digital deployed content, but they also are going to do special limited print runs of certain things for comic shops, etc. So it's a both and model. So we've heard and watched some smaller organizations try to do this in the past, but it's still interesting to me because I want to see one that works. Because I do kind of agree with basically everybody and them of I'm tired of either a monthly subscription service that forces you to pay probably more than you want to get everything, which means 99% of stuff that you won't ever read, but you are technically paying for. And then the end users, the creators rather, at the end of the day, don't really get much from that because they're usually very big corporations that have created those platforms. So I'm always for something new. It's out there. We're going to keep an eye on it because it's another one of those things that someone that figures that out, I feel like, is going to disrupt the space at least a little. Substack came pretty close. I feel where Substack might have failed is I feel like it was hard to market.
It was hard to market, and then honestly, the fact that the books that were on Substack, the fact they still ended up on your comic book shelves,
Mhm.
just kind of shot itself in the foot. Because
And I'm
if
trying to think.
if I was really interested in reading one of those books, all they had to do is wait a little bit longer, and I probably would have gotten onto it, like Love Everlasting. But then the fact
Right.
it started showing up on my shelves, I was like, never mind.
Yeah, I'm good. This is fine. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for all of that. And that is what you need to know. That's our bi-weekly look at the industry, delivering you all the inside knowledge. As always, you can join in on the conversation with Hector and I over on the Love Thy Nerd Discord. We have our own channel over there, which I've been active in telling people how much I'm really disappointed in Marvel. um, sorry, not sorry.
We're sorry, Kyle.
Um, I think some of our folks are gonna light us up later today, but that's fine.
I definitely didn't put a Marvel book in my poll just to appease Marvel fans, but whatever.
And I have a Marvel poll this week as well. So,
And the Fantastic Four almost made my polls too. So
right, and to be again, I almost said to be fair. That yes, there are some good things out there, but what was really good is a conversation I did have over there. So, giving you a peek behind the curtain of the after hours show, such as it were. They're like, yeah, but Immortal Hulk and the Donny Cates run. I'm like, yes, all of that is a year ago now. That's actually my point.
Did you read the current Moon Knight?
Mm-mm.
It's a Tigra issue,
Which they've been leaning in on here and there. So
yeah,
not
but
surprising.
it's a whole Tigra issue.
Okay.
Like Moon Knight has like 3 panels, and that was honestly kind of refreshing. And I was like, I got through it, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll stop reading this. And then the last page is like, next issues, Venom and Moon Knight. I'm like, okay, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also, I didn't get it this week, just because I bought too many things. But like apparently, Punisher doesn't go down quietly because the cover of Punisher was Punisher versus Cap. So, I should have read that.
Well,
But
there you go.
I didn't get it. So because it was just there's too many books. I got lost in the sauce.
See, so you can have this and many other related conversations with us on the Discord or the Love Thy Nerd Facebook community. You can check all those things out over there. Tell us what you liked, what you hated, why Hector is wrong about everything,
Yes.
and why Chris is just amazing. No? All right. Well, I tried. We probably missed some stuff too, and that's why we love all you guys like joining in on the conversation, and because we end up with new books that way. Like being straight up honest, that's how stuff makes it to our list because they're like, "How dare you?" And we're like, "Okay, we'll read it. Be
If we can
prepared to
find
have
it.
you be prepared to be talked about on air."
If we
But
can find it, we'll read it.
Yeah, that's fair. So, that said, to the main event. I was looking over your list real quick and go, what Marvel book did you put there, Mr. DC? But now I see it. So, all right,
Yep.
take it away. Tell us the amazing feat that is a Marvel book made Mr. DC's list.
Well, first off, I do want to say Fantastic Four was really close to making it.
Honorable
I
mention.
the Fantastic Four run is great, and one thing that is just like there was a show that I watched I think it was this year called Inside Man, where David Tennant plays a pastor who makes one wrong choice and it just like de-escalates into like nuclear disaster for his entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it was like I watched the entire series. I think it was like 4 to 6 episodes in one sitting because it was so painful, like how much bad crap kept happening.
Mm.
And it feels like that for the Fantastic Four. It feels like every time, like it's just something gets worse.
Yeah, it's not good to be part of Reed Richards' family, like
No,
ever.
ever. And so like it did not make the top 4 of my list, but Fantastic Four was really fun to read. I will go straight up with my Marvel pull first.
There it
Is
is.
She-Hulk. And to be fair, She-Hulk's been like childhood crush since like the 90s Marvel swimsuit covers and those cards and everything. But why this one was good for me was not even the main story. The story does actually have some Reed Richards in it, but its story is primarily uh, Jen struggling with the fact that she basically represents all of the X-Men and most of the Marvel villains now as a lawyer, and she's not happy. And her love life is weird. That's like the main story arc, but there's a whole B story, which is her trying to have a book club with super females.
Yes.
And the fact that they're all awkward at being normal and all awkward at being adults, and they're all awkward at doing anything other than punching stuff, and nobody actually read the book. And so, just as a writer, as a book reader, as a former bookstore employee, a story about a book club with superheroes, uh, and because nobody read the book all the way, Jen just wants to talk about the ending, and she can't talk about it, and everybody keeps telling her spoilers. And then Captain America shows up. Hey, we need you to punch stuff. And he's like, "Oh, you read this? Oh, I love the ending." And it's just like, it's this perfect little anecdotal bookstore book club vibe. So the writer, the bookstore person in me really enjoyed this. Like I made it through the primary story arc and was like, okay, that's not going in the pulls. Then got to the book club arc and I'm like, okay, you're going in there. So this was fun. I feel like the first 6 issues of this were freaking dope. I do feel like it's dragging its feet, but also like I know that there's a good turnaround coming for this, hopefully. And she has met her match in some villain that just makes her look like a noob. Like there's some suave, charming guy that literally just mops the floor with her, like with next to no effort, and then makes a joke about it. So it's interesting. So She-Hulk, number 12, merrily rolling along. I'm gonna mention this. Oh, I feel like this should have been more of the story than Nightwing, because I'm still harping on that.
Right. Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but spoilers. Oh, kick She-Hulk. Okay.
This is a professional podcast. This is
This is a
fine.
professional podcast, yes. So I've been occasionally picking up Wonder Woman recently. And I picked it up initially because it was a Yara Floor team up, and I like Yara Floor as Wonder Woman.
Yep.
But this has been a Shazam and Wonder Woman arc because the wizard Shazam has teamed up with Hera, and they're lovers now, and they're overthrowing all the gods.
Oh.
And which has put Wonder Woman and a bunch of people, including Mary Marvel, at war with some lowercase g gods. And to And this was one of those things, how you mentioned first appearances.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you said that, and I'm like, why did I need to make a note of that? Because at some point, moderate spoilers, but I doubt any of you are actually reading Wonder Woman anyway. Because it's not the best DC book or anything right now. At some point during the storyline, Mary Marvel gets trounced, and so she's trying to turn the tide. So she gives her powers to Wonder Woman. So Wonder Woman with all the powers of Shazam equals a like, it's maybe not a capital G god, but it's definitely an italicized lowercase g god, where she Wonder Woman ends up with the full powers of Shazam. Check out the crisp uh like if this was me 5 years ago, I would cut this page out and decoupage it. But Wonder Woman ends up with the power of Shazam. And it's a first appearance of her in that role or whatever. So Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Next one on my pulls, and I was worried I was going to take this from you. So if you would have told me, I would have put Nightwing in this spot. But DC Silent Tales.
I didn't see it, so that's.
This to me was like, oh, Chris would love this book.
Oh man. Well, now no. At least I need to read it.
And it is literally 6. Correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, it is 6 stories, all throughout the DC universe that are all told visually.
Dope.
Like no real.
I figured based on the title, that's where that was leaning in. But yeah, I'm about it.
And so the artwork is all gorgeous. It's very unique, and almost has like Mad Magazine vibes, but really well done. And there's a Lobo story, there's a Joker story, there's a Superman story, a Zatanna story, a Cyborg story, and a Harley story. They're all. This feels like a modern era Looney Tunes.
That's kind of cool.
I think if you throw on some classical music in the background and read this, it's a vibe. It's a straight bop, my friends, as the children would say.
Do they though?
Yes, they do. But I mean, it's just really funny humor. It's good. And like, I mean, it's very tongue in cheek on the visuals. There's tons of Easter eggs visually with it. But like, one of my favorite things is one thing you get is Cyborg. Check this out. You get Cyborg record shopping, dressed like Run DMC, with a jacket that says Run DC, like DC and into Iborg.
Yes.
And so he's buying vinyl so he can go home and listen to vinyl, and then crime happens while he's trying to listen to vinyl, and he's not happy.
Yo, so don't do crimes, otherwise knockoff Run DMC will punch you in the face
with a projectile robot hand.
What?
And then there's like Superman getting evil junk on his laundry and it causing problems. Zatanna like doing magic to feed a cute little bunny. The Joker put like defacing paintings circa 1989 Batman. It's 100% visual minus like words written on things. There's not a lot. There's no dialogue or anything. It's cute. It's beautiful. It's a fun thing. I spent my $6. Oh gosh, it was $7. I have a rule. I don't look at prices in comic book shops because it'll make me cry. I just wait until they get the total and I convince myself it's okay.
It's for the fans, yo.
For the fans. We have those. But DC Silent Tales #1 was fun. It was a good thing. They've officially wrapped up Deceased, War of the Undead Gods. Yeah. Now, when this book started, did I feel like it needed to happen? Absolutely not. They could have stopped where they were. It would have been good. Did this book have the whole arc have slow spots? Absolutely. As a whole picture, is it worth reading? Yes. Even if
Don't read the price.
Don't read the price. But no, like I've owned every Deceased storyline, And if you just based it on their slowest chapters, even on their slowest chapters, it's still a fun read. But this comes to the point of they are not only trying to, they've stopped the zombie invasion of the unknown gods. They've actually got Darkseid on their team. Yellow Lantern Darkseid is actually fighting with them, and
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
and yeah,
What?
yeah. At some point, Darkseid becomes Yellow Lantern.
I mean, that checks out. I'm okay with that.
But Darkseid, once they rid everybody of the virus, Darkseid was cheesed off that someone would dare take control mentally over him.
That also checks out.
And so, out of pure "how dare you," the audacity, that he decides, all right, I'll fight with y'all. And so there's some Erebos, which is the like malevolent entity beyond the anti-life equation, like it's the physical manifestation of anti-life, and so they go to take down the anti-life so that it can't be brought back, so that there won't be more stories of this. And Damian becomes the best version of his Batman.
Right.
And there's a whole storyline there with that, and it literally is probably the most solid, not cynical douche waffle version of Damian as Batman I've seen.
Right. I was gonna say this is the book where Damien doesn't suck.
This is the book where Damian, literally, man, this is the not suckiest Damian we've seen, because every Damian Batman is just like, you know, he's Roy Kent in a trench coat, and
Yeah, that's good.
right, Roy Kent
Boy,
that doesn't mind murdering people, and
I feel like that's within Kent's probable capabilities.
yes. But basically, you've got a good Batman on a path to end the all anti-life stuff. You've got Lobo, the Black Racer Death,
Mm-hmm.
Darkseid, and Ares all fighting this thing as a distraction, and them trying to take out this anti-life thing in the end. You've got Alfred as the Spectre, still being the best version of the Spectre we've had since 52. Yes.
That you put that one above Montoya.
As the Spectre?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, question. I did brain things again. Not
Yeah,
even
I now, but here's the thing: the Question and Montoya were in the same storyline in 52. I'm with you. It's that same thing. But the Alfred is the best Spectre
Yes.
I have seen probably
That's a
since.
good. I would like to see both of those characters then in the same book, because that'd be a vibe.
Yeah. This might be the best version of the Spectre since Kingdom Come.
Ooh.
Just because Alfred as the Spectre, because listen, he's dealing with Damien, and he's got his "I'm taking care of my son" narrative, and it's him narrating his loss. So getting to hear Alfred narrate his pain over losing his children is good. I'm not spoiling the ending, because this genuinely does have spoilery things.
Mm.
But it's gorgeous. Now, though, and I'll say it again. This is Damien at his best as Batman, and Alfred as Spectre. Eek! I knocked down my destructo disc. Alfred as Spectre is why this is worth it. Damien as Batman, Alfred as Spectre, totally worth it. Totally worth the journey. And my other one, because I didn't see this on the shelves and missed it after we both gave it such critical acclaim. I said
Right.
number 3.
I missed it too. So
I missed both of these on the shelves. Superman number 2 and number 3 out of this storyline. So I read these back to back. Huh?
I did read 2. I didn't see 3.
Yeah. And so 3 just, I think, came out this week. And so that's what got me to go back and get 2. 3's freaking great. 2 is great too. But like the whole story that we started with in issue 1 that we were both so high praise over holds its own for 3 issues, and it resolves this initial story within the first 3 issues. And it did it really, really well.
Yeah, I hope they maintain the art on this one that this isn't a you put a really good artist on and now we're going to lose them, because I also felt like this was super well drawn. That this one pulled me in to like I said when I put number one on my thing, I was like, I can't believe I'm going to say I'm reading a Superman book and enjoying it, because that's how that's been for a while.
And I read 2 Superman books back to back and I was excited for more.
Yeah, so Superboy didn't make my list, but it probably was my honorable mention of the week.
Yeah.
Because same thing, I was like, well, the other ones have been good.
But with Superman number 3, Parasite has split off and is now infecting people like a zombie-born virus. And Parasite in that capacity is really interesting. And this is the first time I've ever actually looked at Parasite in a comic book and been menaced.
Mm.
Like, this was intimidating. The storyline was great. The interactions with Lex were great. Interactions with Lois was dope. And this is when All-Star Superman dropped. I did not initially enjoy reading it, but it did feel like a breath of fresh air. This I am actually enjoying reading, and it's a breath of fresh air. Todd has been stating for a while that Nightwing's the best book in DC. This has the potential to catch up and run alongside it.
Ooh.
And I'll say this: these 3 issues of Superman have been better than the last 3 issues of Nightwing. There's that.
That could be fighting words. We'll
Yep.
find out.
Okay, I'm done.
Are you now? So top of mind is a Marvel book as well. So, how dare you?
Meh.
So Hellcat, the
Oh, by the
Tom,
way, she's in the book club.
that makes sense. They're friends.
Yes.
And that's expected. But so Tom King, but not Tom King at Marvel. It is a 5-part mini, like I mentioned before, and the entire thing is clearly kind of a psychoanalytical journey into Patsy Walker's past, and brought her today. Like, daddy issues is definitely part of it, which welcome to comics. But it's being unpacked. It's not like the, oh no, my dad was terrible. Like, we're unpacking it. Some of it's uncomfortable. So this is definitely, a pretty gritty look for Marvel. Still investigating whether she melted a person or not, even though she technically doesn't have those powers. She's constantly on the run from the cops. She's so that's happening. She's unpacking like her really messed up past and things that have occurred to her. So it's not a light book, but it's also not super heavy. Like, where Tom in a few places like makes you like legitimately feel uncomfortable. I feel like this comes close but doesn't quite hit that
Okay.
at times, that I think they're attempting to, but I don't know. There's a few times that I'm like, I see where you're going, but I don't know if you landed that plane yet. But I'm still enjoying it because I appreciate Marvel trying to take that approach, because that is not their typical route. Their typical route is, I'm going to make the X-Men and the Avengers punch each other, and then when they get bored, I'm gonna
Hey, dial it back.
I'm gonna let other Marvel characters punch each other. That unfortunately some people said that, that actually is the thing, is when Marvel gets distracted, they just have heroes punch each other. And we get V's and verses in the middle of tons of titles.
Yeah, but
This
then if not, we end up with things like Null. So
Here we are. But I'm enjoying that still. So I want to see how they package this up in 5 issues. And I think looking at it and the story so far, that was probably the right choice. That's my other thing, is I really feel these small series that can get to the point and get out are really helping comics right now. Because instead of having to fill a series, it means people have to get to the point, and get stuff on page. So about it. Next up, I got Phantom Road number 2 now.
congratulations.
So I can talk about these things. I don't know what Jeff's doing here, but something happened in the middle of this book that made me stop and go, I'm listening. So we talked about how like this trucker picks up this person after an accident and they feel like they kind of get bamfed into a different place, that
Right.
there's like these zombie creatures rolling around.
The happy slaughter. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But they find a truck stop like after driving for like a day. And it's like it's not quite a Bucky's. It's not that nice. It should be, but it's not. Um it's more like a Pilot or a Love's.
Beaver nuggets.
Yeah. And they've
By
run
the way,
into
the tuxedo gummies, the cinnamon tuxedo gummies at Bucky's are chef's kiss.
Yeah, you're either on the Bucky's train or you're not. Sorry, everyone from the Northeast.
People still live there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
apparently it snows there.
Mm.
So they run into another actual human being, or what appears to be a human being that can converse with them. And he's like, "Hi, welcome to here." And they're like, "Great, start explaining everything." And the dude's like, "Yeah, that's not how this works." And so they get frustrated over that. But he's like, "Cool. Well, the thing chose you, and you now need to bring it to wherever." And this was the like literally like blob like thing they found that they think is the reason they bamfed to begin with. But now it's clear that they have to take it somewhere. Is basically how this is unfolding. And the dude's like, "Yeah, it chose you, so have fun. Get it to where it needs to go. Once you get there, you'll be there." And they're like, "Great, where?" And he's like, "Yup." But then he stops. He's like, "Fine. Yeah, you got to take the thing to Golgotha." That's the face I made because I went, "Excuse me?" And then the characters even went, "Like the Bible?" And the guy's like, "No, not like the Bible, like the actual place." And it's like, well, still kind of like the Bible. um, they do not explain anything more than that in this issue. And my brain literally stopped and went, I'm not sure how to unpack that at the moment. Because they also kind of did this. So is this purgatory? And they're like, well, sort of, kind of, no. But you got to take that thing and bring it. We now know to at least Golgotha. Yeah. All of you listening can't see the face Hector's making, but that's literally what my brain did when we hit that plot point. They did kind of explain the where they are. Because the dude that can talk literally like opened up a salt shaker, made a line, made another line. He goes, basically that. He's like, "You are here," and pointed to the other line, but then he took his finger and drug it across both so it connected both. And he's like, "That's where the truck stop is."
The Phantom Road, right past the Phantom toll booth. Yes.
Correct. And so the rest of the book is they actually both bamf into the real world, back into where they were real world, and it goes back and forth. And so in the weird zombie world, they're like, "Oh crap, a zombie," and they start beating it. They actually bamf into the real world, and it's a normal person that they just killed, and cops are starting to show up, and that's the end of book number 2. And I went, what? And I'm going to keep reading this because now they're also into you can now do the mind thing of he literally beat to death like 30 of these things with his crowbar. And what that in theory just implied to us, those were all real people and they are dead in the real world now. Thank you, Jeff Lemire, for giving me my head. Yes, that's what I like when Jeff does stuff to me like that. Because it's like, oh, we got a lot to unpack there now.
Yes.
And whatever, also, this is the last part I need to say that's important, is whatever's in the back of the truck that apparently needs to go to Golgotha, if they get too far from the truck, they start getting physically ill and start like getting pain throughout their body until they come back within a certain radius of the truck, which means it also isn't going to let them just bail.
Okay.
Right? That's
definitely one of his most interesting.
Yeah, no.
Vibe.
Gideon Falls kind of had this same thing of like multiple realities and stuff, but that one was like super deep end. This one feels a little more. This is one where the reveal's either going to really pay off or you're going to go, "Aw." So we'll see. I'm on it. I'm going. Which brings me to Local Man. I mentioned this one. This is the number 2 issue a while ago, and this is about basically the dude that was like on the Image Avengers that got thrown off because, well, reasons. And he's not allowed to be superhero-y anymore. Like, it violates copyrights. He's not even allowed to like do anything that relates anything to his old character anymore. But he finds out that he got in a bar fight and the dude who was his arch nemesis died. And so they're all like, cool, so you did that. And he's like, didn't, but okay. So he gets arrested in this book, and a little thing that looks like Skeets in this universe shows up. Yeah. Looks kind of like Skeets.
Kind of like a cross between Skeets and K9.
Yeah. And so he shows up and he's like, yeah, you're in violation of basically your superhero parole because you superheroed. And he's like, I got arrested and I defended myself. That's not assisting law enforcement, because they're like, you can't even help cops. And he's like, what gives? But he's unpacking all that and he's like, yeah, I guess I got to find out who killed my arch nemesis because that's not cool. And it wasn't me. And he basically ends up beating Skeets into the ground later because he's like, I guess I got to do the thing. But it's literally kind of this down to earth, like Cap literally gets thrown off the Avengers and has to go back to the block in New York City and not do anything relating to his job. But then stuff happens and he feels like he needs to do something, is kind of how this unfolds. Except it's still in the image, Liefeld image of every single one of these books has if you flip it upside down, has another short version of the original comic that explains more of the backstory each issue. And I'm a sucker for that. It's kind of like the B stories in DC, except these actually are part of the story.
And they're actually cutting out good advertising money too.
Yeah, it's wild. But it's fun.
How is that going to translate well into a trade? That's going to be fun too.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see.
Yep.
Then I found stuff in my back issue pile. Matt Kent, his stuff Flux House at Dark Horse, Spy Superb, which is done with him and his wife Charlene. They did Department H together. She does really cool watercolor art, just like Matt. So it's fun when they do stuff together. But the premise of this book is pretty classic Matt Kent. He's created this spy world where the world, good guys, if you will, it's not clear whether it's the US or not, or if it's a conglomerate, but creates the mythos of the Spy Superb. So this is their 007 in theory, except when they invented him all the way back during the Second World War, it's supposed to be basically a Bond foil, that he's super good at everything. He's got the gadgets and everything. He gets off the boat in southern France and promptly blows himself up because he has no idea what he's doing. And the mythos is born that this guy can't possibly be Spy Superb because we've all heard he's amazing. So this is clearly like a misdirection, a false flag, etc. Except they decide to make the program about Spy Superb actually is the myth, and they hire people and train people that either have no idea they're spies or that they're actually really terrible at it, so that all of the world's bad guys try to chase after the mythos of the guy that does but doesn't exist, because they think there's some super spy out there when there's not. Now,
so it's that Mr. Bean spy movie.
Yes, and that's where I was going to go with it, is that the guy that they have right now, literally totally aloof. And of course, it's the Mr. Bean thing of the Russians send a hit squad of like 6 top tactical assassins, and he accidentally kills all 6 of them. And basically does oh, I'm sorry. Oh no, how did that happen?
I took her and daled it. Got it.
Yeah. And so it's silly, but it's also kind of funny because now the entire thing basically becomes, well, what really ironic or accidental way are these people about to, get knocked off? But the thing that's happening now is have run into someone that's been tasked to kill him, but has also kind of figured out you're an idiot. How are you still alive? Kind of thing. So, but that he's like, well, I'm here to he took this spy's phone, which that they thought was on purpose, but he did by accident. He's like, no, I've just been trying to get your phone back. Those stupid Russians tried to kill you for it. So he's like got a heart or something. So that's the story. And it's yeah, it's silly, but it's also kind of fun. So those are my things. Regale us with your number one, and then I'm gonna break the internet.
Not the internet.
Yeah.
So my number one is The Forged by Greg Rucka.
I didn't see that one either, so now I'm curious.
This one is the reprint.
Okay. Yeah, I was
Uh,
gonna say I felt like I've heard of it.
Yeah, it came out in March. Second issue should have come out this week. I didn't realize that. I will be calling my comic shop promptly to ask them to drop issue 2 in my pull. But if you don't know, Greg Rucka is the dude who created who did the question? Not the
Good
he
luck.
created Renee Montoya.
Mm.
And he did a lot of the big Marvel or DC stuff in the 90s. Greg Rucka, he wrote some of my favorite Batman stories, including one where Batman finds the Holy Grail and actually has a whole genuine conversation about Jesus. It's one of the best faith Batman books out there that doesn't suck.
It doesn't suck.
Because there's one where Batman is literally like a holy warrior, like wearing like church clothing, not church, but like priestly clothing as a Batman costume too, and it gets weird. But yeah, The Forged is, dude, this is all up your alley. Like this is 100% a Chris P book.
Mm.
But the difference is this is a Chris P book I enjoyed.
Ouch.
No, there's just a different vibe. Like I felt like I was wasting money reading They Only Find Us When We're Dead.
That's fair.
That is not an everybody book. This is like
Ooh.
that, but like broad audience entertaining. So
Fair.
first of all, it's a oversized book, the size of a Black Label chunky book. But what's great is, dude, it's still $5.99
Ooh.
for this size of a book. Sets the deal of a big space vibe. There's a whole class system like everything else in every other funky space story, and you're basically joined with the crew of Serenity as they're about to be dropped on a planet as some warriors. There's like they're forged, which is like I guess the lower class of warriors. There's a snooty government military, and then there's some woman that's basically like a wizard witch oracle lady who has the power to like change what you see in your mind. Check this art out. Look at it. Look at it. Look at things.
Ooh.
But there's like this wizard witch lady who was basically pulling all the strings of the story of every class system. There's a empress that is who everybody worships, and she's like the sidekick of this. But like with one touch, she can make you see or feel anything.
Okay.
So there's like a government dude that's being all nervous and douchey around her, so she makes him see everything he hopes to see and feel, and he's all right, and she's like, as much as pleasures I just gave you, I'll make you hurt more. And then she's revealing people's past, so it's there's this in like this all says the art style is just great. Like I don't know what else this dude's drawn, but like the art is freaking like gorgeous across the board.
Mm.
And so yeah, it's a class system space story. Malevolent wizardy lady kind of has Event Horizon vibes. The only thing I don't like is that there's an organization that has the acronym of evil for their name. I'm like, come on, guys. Come on. This isn't Earthworm Jim. Don't do this.
Or
Is it? But either way, this was probably one of the because like you say, you buy a lot of number ones and then you never plan to read them again. This is the first number one I said I can't wait for the next one. I'm interested, and I like genuinely felt like I've been through a gallery art wise after reading this. So I will be calling my comic book shop as soon as I'm done recording and asking them to put number 2 in my box. Go. Oh, I will say it is a little adulty.
A
It's
little adulty.
it is a mature reader's book. It's not like a, you know, yeah, it's not like the worst mature reader's book, but it's a mature reader's book.
On that note,
Did you get adulty books? Don't do it, Chris.
super adulty, but part of this is but we don't know why. So I don't know if you saw this on yourselves, but World Tree,
No,
done in the elite speak. Tinian,
of course.
who's just been on the I'm gonna write some of the weirdest stuff out there vibe. It's an image book, and there's a lot of going on, but one of the main people in this book is very naked for most of the book, and I'm assuming there's a point to that, but it is not obvious in the first issue. So anyway, you get introduced to kind of this one person with a screen name and like a hackery type website. This is our naked protagonist or antagonist, whatever she is. And they talk about the underweb, so I'm guessing it's their version of the dark web kind of thing. But
Dark web.
yeah, dark web. You get introduced to two other characters that are kind of having a back and forth conversation on a car ride. And then you get introduced to a character that literally walks up to people's houses and it's like, hey, I need you to look at this real quick. Shows them their phone. And then you see like the VCR scratches over their face after they look at it. And then he brutally murders them. And he does this about 5 times in a row. And
Jinkies.
yeah, and live streams the whole thing. And everyone's like, that was a thing. And it's creepy and unnerving because the guy's like in between each murder, he's like, well, that was easy. I guess the next one might be hard though, because they have kids. And it's like, yo, what? But you find out that like the dude that was like driving the car and what appears to be semi unrelated conversation is that person's brother. And so he basically hears about the whole thing because the internet's like, your bro just like literally murdered like 10 people on the interwebs. And so he goes to the jail to be like, what? And while he's there, our strange naked person shows up. Does
Still
the same.
naked?
Oh yeah. Well, put on like overalls to get on a motorcycle, but then took the overalls off to attack the police station. I got nothing.
That tracks. Yeah.
Yeah. And she walks in and literally does the same thing as like phone. And the people are like, what? But she brought guns to the party. So she's like, this won't take long. Kills all the cops in the lobby, then shows up in the cell. And like the first dude's like, it's you. It's really you. And she's like, yes. And you've done a good thing. Shows phone, executes him in front of the other dude. And basically walks out. But on her way out, looks at the brother and says, you can be part of this too, and just walks out. I have no idea what is going on and is super dark.
I have an idea what's going on, and I almost feel like this is a carbon copy of something.
Probably.
You don't watch Luther, do you?
It's been a hot minute. So
Did you
it means
do you remember the like kind of D&D episode of Luther?
no. I think
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe season 3.
Didn't get that. Yeah.
Okay. There's 2 twin brothers that are playing a real life / online RPG of death and chaos, where they go into any random situation, roll the die to see what damage they're going to do the murders, and then log their stuff online.
Okay.
This feels like that.
It's got a bit of a vibe.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious because I think the next issue or the issue after it, one of the covers actually has like a physical tree on on the cover, so the whole world tree thing, I think, isn't just a misnomer. There may be something there too.
Maybe it's brackets.
I got nothing, but it's well drawn. It is gritty as all get out. So I guess it hits my super weird pile on the I'm now reading because I have a mighty need to know what the crap that setup was. And I mean, it's a super old, it's almost tropey and horror and other stuff now of the, I want to see what makes them either go crazy or blank out for a second. Because it's literally something they're carrying on just like their phone. And it's kind of novel because the way they get people to do it is they're like, literally, as soon as they interact with a new person, they're like, hey, yeah, that's cool, but can you check this out really quick? And literally just put it in front of people, and people are just like unplugged.
So it's the Ring,
Yeah,
with murder D&D.
that
yeah. By the way, I think the what I was failing to tell you with the Forged, it's Fifth Element meets Firefly. That's the way to say it.
Okay, I got it.
Yep.
So yeah, we've got you set up for this week for some wild number ones. But yeah, the Leet Speak World Tree, not for the kiddos in any way, shape, or form. Yep. So that is going to do it for us here at the Polis Podcast. Episode 85 is now in the books and now in your ears and your eyeballs. You can catch us on the YouTubes, just about any place that you can download podcasts, the Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iTunes. Like, if it's out there, we out there. That's how we roll. But as many of you know, we can't take this epic journey of podcasts and fandom alone. We do it as part of the Love Thy Nerd podcast network. You can now also catch us on the LTN radio app, which is all part of all those lovely LTN things, because yes, Matt did tell us we out there. So congrats. Thanks, Matt. But honestly, Hector and I do want to thank each and every one of you for choosing us as your primary comic book knowledge factory on a mostly bi-weekly basis. So don't leave us hanging. Rate, review the show on all those podcasting places. 5 stars. Hector's amazing. Thanks for listening. And remember, kids,
Read more comics.
I'm gonna take all